Are you a Platform Housing Group customer looking for work? Today, we're going to be talking to Building Better Opportunities job coach James to get some top tips on how to tell an employer about yourself. Hi, I'm Tim. Thanks for joining us, James. Looking for work is hard work, isn't it? I wonder if you could give us an idea of what we need to get started.
Yeah, sure. Morning, Tim. Yes, it can be confusing, but the first thing you do need about is indispensable is a CV.
Okay.
A lot of people don't have a CV, so you have to create one, and it needs to be regularly updated. I'm going to share my screen because I have a CV template that people can use, BBO participants can use to create a new CV.
Okay, brilliant, thanks.
Or indeed update the one they have. So if I share screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is a CV template. There are many different types of CV.
Yeah.
You can get CVs, you can download them from the internet. You can even pay for CVs or pay for what's called a professional CV writing service.
Okay.
Most people, not necessary at all. You can create a functional, efficient CV that looks good, and that's going to help you apply for work quite easily and at no cost.
Okay, can you run us through each section then?
Yes. So if I just scroll down the CV first, as you've said, Tim, there are different sections. At the very top, it's your contact details and your personal profile.
Got it.
You can see on mine, so there's first name, last name, address. I just put in the city or the town now. People aren't really interested in your street or street number.
Okay.
Not really relevant. If you wish to put your postcode in, fine. I live in Worcester, so I would just put Worcester. Contact phone number is very important, as is an email address, very important. Yep. Some people will have a number of email accounts. On your CV, you want to put the email address that you wish to use for job seeking, so it needs to be appropriately worded.
That's very good point, because some people, their email address that they use most will be my fluffy pony or something like that. You know, you don't really want to be applying for a job with that email, do you?
Yeah, exactly. And yes, so you choose one and you can set up an email account in 5 minutes. Yeah. If you don't have one, if you only have one, that's called my fluffy pony. You can set up a new one, very simple, straightforward one, just for your job seeking.
Okay. So
yeah.
What's the bit underneath then? What's that called?
This section here is the personal profile.
Yeah.
So only needs to be a paragraph. It doesn't need to be an essay. There's not room for it to be an essay.
Yeah.
It's just a paragraph where you're given an overview of who you are. I mean, it sounds quite complicated or maybe overwhelming, but you just want to say, are you immediately available?
Yeah.
What sort of work are you looking for? Maybe a little bit about what sort of person you are, and maybe your short-term career goals. And you can even mention your long-term career goals, those sorts of things. So it's really just to progress it down from your contact details, just a little snapshot of you as a person. That's all in the first section there.
Now, skills, that looks difficult. Give us some tips on how to master that.
How to master your skills. Well, one of the good tips is to remember that it doesn't necessarily have to be a work skill. Okay. We all have many skills that we employ every day, and when you think out of the box about your personal skills, your personal qualities, maybe things you use in the family, running and managing a household, maybe you're involved in community activities, some sort of voluntary work.
Okay.
For all these roles, you use personal skills and qualities. Like you're self-organized. Maybe you're a good communicator. Maybe you manage a small team of volunteers, or you do something in your local church, for example.
Uh-huh.
In the skills section, you want to put 3, 4, 5 of those. If you have specific work-related skills, yes, it's put those down as well. Maybe you you have a forklift truck license, for example. Put
Right.
those down there, just list them in bullet points. And ideally, you want to put some skills there that are relevant to the job you're applying for.
Okay. So, work experience.
Yes. Yeah, work experience. So when people think of CVs, they normally think of this section.
Yeah.
Detailing the jobs you have done. And it is a very important section. First thing to say is that it can be paid or unpaid.
Right. Okay, so, that's fascinating.
Yeah, so any voluntary work you've done, any community work you've been involved in, that can go on here as well, because it's demonstrating all the same skills and qualities that you may use in a paid job. Yes, the context is different, but it's still the same personal skills and qualities: determination, timekeeping, attention to detail, that you might use in a paid job. So that all goes in work experience.
Would that apply if you'd say been raising a family or had been a carer and you're returning to work? Would that, you could put that in there as well, could you?
Yeah, I do that for customers. If we just, perhaps a mother has raised a family, children are old enough now.
Yeah.
Maybe they're at secondary school and she wants to go back into the jobs market. I will put that down as a role, as a jobs role. So yeah. Sometimes we call it home care management or household management. And just as like any other job, we will list the specific tasks and some of the skills that she would have used to do that role. So, you know, we know that there's a lot you will learn doing that role: timekeeping,
of course, yeah.
Emotional regulation, advice on healthy diets, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we would definitely put that in there.
And do you put the latest role that you've done at the top and then work backwards from that?
That's the accepted way to do it, and it does make sense, really, because when an employer is looking at your work experience, it is very important what your last role is, if you indeed do have a job to put on there. So they will look from the top and then they will naturally scan down to look at older job roles.
Okay. And is that the same for education and training as well? You start from the most recent one?
Exactly, yeah. So for education and training, as we can just see here, yeah, you put your most recent qualifications first. And similar to work experience, you just put the month and the year. You don't need any specific dates for your CV, which makes it easier. Sometimes, you know, it's difficult remembering dates of jobs and courses you may have done a long time ago in particular. So yeah, your month and the year, the qualification title, where you studied that course, and the location. You don't really need to put too much detail underneath. Maybe if the qualification you did was like, say, an introduction or an induction to care, you might want to list some of these specific modules you did, which might be relevant.
Right. Yeah.
Administering medication, those sorts of things, manual handling. But yeah, it's pretty much the same as work experience. And just going back to work experience for a moment,
yeah,
you do want to list some of your responsibilities, some of the things that you actually did in that role. And ideally, if you achieved something, even if it's something that you personally evaluate as an achievement, you can put that down on there. The key is to not make it too busy, not overcrowd, not put too much in there. Keep it clear, keep it like succinct to the point. It'll just make it easy for someone to read it. No one likes to read a CV that's too busy, that there's too many words, it's too confusing to look at.
I suppose people are looking at like maybe hundreds of CVs for a role, aren't they? Could be, couldn't they? If it's
exactly.
So you want to keep it nice and short if you can, yeah.
Especially if you're using the CV to apply on job sites, which we'll talk about in another video, because they can get 70, 100 plus applications for job roles. So you want to keep it clear, nice to look at. So the formatting is important as well. I do particularly like this one. So when customers become participants on building better opportunities, we endeavour to make sure their CV looks good and is clear to read. Yeah.
Okay. So what comes after education and training?
Okay, so it's everyone's favourite section. Maybe,
Hobbies
maybe
and
not.
interests. Okay.
Hobbies and interests, sometimes called activities or outside work. Hobbies and interests is what I title it. Yeah, so the final section, it's a space where if you wish, this is not a mandatory section to include on the CV. If there was any section which I said you don't have to put on there, it would be this one.
Okay.
Your contact details, personal profile, skills, work and training and education, they are crucial, they're key. This section, if you wish, you can just say, give them a bit of an impression of what sort of person you are. So what do you enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
What are your interests? What do you like to do outside of work?
Okay. So I notice that you don't, on this CV, don't have a section for references. Is there a reason for that?
Yes. I mean, my thinking really is that nowadays, if someone's likes and are interested, they are interested in your CV, they will then invite you for an interview, or maybe that'd be a telephone call first of all. References are normally taken up at a later stage in the application process, and
Okay.
it used to be a tradition to put references available on request. I mean, if you've got room, it doesn't hurt. It's not wrong, but it sort of doesn't really serve any use, any real purpose. I mean, some people even put the details of the actual reference on there if they have permission from their referee. Again, that's okay. Sometimes, yeah, that might be appropriate, but you don't need to actually list them or even say that you have them. It will be naturally, it will be taken up at a later stage if you are successful.
And what's your opinion on the ideal sort of length for a CV? I suppose there isn't one, but what shouldn't you go over in terms of length, for example?
Yeah, my personal opinion, I think it's quite common now, is that really one side of A4 is good if you can get all your information on there, which may mean that for a certain role you don't need to go back so far with your work experience or indeed education and training. Maybe you only go back 3 years, 5 years, all depends on the person and how much experience they have. I would say the maximum is 2 sides of A4. 2 sides of A4 is enough when you consider employers are often looking at lots of CVs.
Right.
So yeah, two is enough. One if you can, but it's okay to go over. That's nothing to worry about.
James, that's really useful. Thank you very much for that. And if you do need any more help, I'll be putting details of how to contact us at the end of this video. If you're a platform housing customer and you live in Worcestershire and you're unemployed, simply call 0333 200 7304 or email fusionjobcoach@platformhg.com. Or, if you live elsewhere, use the Let's Chat function on our website, or call us on the following number and we can put you in touch with a local partner.